Thank you. So, good evening, friends. I think it's really nice. I think it's been quite a while. I haven't spoken to actually quite a lot of people. So it's really I'm glad that I got the invite and I am able to share something what I have learned as part of my professional life, which I hope will be beneficial for all of you. Maybe to start with, I will just give a quick background about myself. So I am Swami, now probably with the experience, I think about 21 years in the packaging industry now. So I passed out in 1999. Um, my career spans across, I would say, three countries. So I worked in India, I worked in and working in Singapore, and I've also worked in New Zealand. And primarily, my background is in engineering. I'm a bachelor's in engineering. I've completed, of course, the postgrad from IIP Mumbai, and I've also done my second post graduation in packaging technology from Massey University in New Zealand. So I do have my double postgrad masters there. In terms of my career and experience, I have a bit of a broad, I would say, exposure. So starting with Unilever in India, working in the food side, I've also then worked in New Zealand with Heinz, and again moving back into India with Heinz again India. So again, broadly working in the, I would say, FMCG food space, a bit of, I would say, non-food as well with Heinz India. Then, of course, heading packaging for ITC for a short while in Kolkata. And then moving into nutrition, I think consumer healthcare with Abbott in Singapore. Uh, and again, also moving back into New Zealand with Fonterra as well, and again back into GSK in Singapore. So I've moved roles, but also with added responsibilities every time. And most of my roles have been in, I would say, a broader responsibility area, starting from packaging development. But I've also done roles on packaging engineering, which is specifically focusing on packaging equipment roles. So developing packaging equipments for Abbott Nutrition, installing packaging machines, validating the packaging automations for the factories across Asia Pacific. Of course, I'm also doing the packaging development role in addition to that for the business at the time. And then, of course, I've diversified further into supply chain. So my previous role to Harvey was managing end-to-end supply chain across Asia Pacific, Middle East, and Latin America for a consumer healthcare company called Monday Pharma, based out of Singapore. So there, it's all about not packaging. Packaging was just one responsibility, but broadly looking at the entire supply chain, sourcing, contract manufacturing, procurement, managing contracts, legal contracts, negotiations, and supporting the new product development and packaging development and greenfield expansion for the business. So it was a very broader role, very large responsibility, but it also gives you a pretty good, I would say, exposure and learning opportunity as you learn to diversify. And then I think my current role, I moved in 2018, starting with Harvey in a global role, so responsible for the global packaging development. So quickly about Harvey is a packaging sourcing organization headquartered in the US. And if you, I'm sure everybody knows about McDonald's globally. And if you really have ever wondered who is doing the packaging for McDonald's, it's Harvey. So we are the packaging division, I would say an extended arm of McDonald's globally. We manage their entire packaging supply chain, right from sourcing, procurement, sustainability, innovation, development, and delivering the materials into their distribution centers. end-to-end packaging supply chain globally for McDonald's is managed by Harvey. So, which is where I started my role in a global role in 2018. So, managing the entire packaging development team across the world, starting from US, Europe, and Asia Pacific, Middle East, Africa. And then last year, then I moved into more Asia Pacific focus with added responsibility on innovation and sustainability now for the business. So that's broadly in a nutshell where I come from, what my background is, and what I do now. Yeah. So maybe I'll get on with the presentation. Interview skills. I think when I was approached by some of your seniors, Amit Sarkar in specific, he reached out to me and he was asking which topic if I would be interested to really speak about. And I thought there are many people who are actually able to talk on the packaging technical side, but I think what's lacking today and what I am seeing also is a gap in the industry when it comes to freshers as the interview skills, because I've been recruiting people over the last so many years. And one thing I find that a lot of the younger generation or the freshers is who lack is all about the visibility or even the knowledge gap around how and where in terms of interview skills goes. So I thought maybe it's an opportunity to share what me as a business leader has seen and looked at during my interview process with the potential candidates, but it's also about how the culture of organization is evolving. And it's also about what the business expectations are when it comes to hiring freshers. So it's important that you all get to know that so that you can be well prepared when you are going to be stepping up into more of your professional life soon. So the first step to the process, it's all about preparing yourself. So it's basically, I would say that you need to look at 4 key elements to it. First is it's about knowing yourself, because when you go into an interview process or when you are being there present in front of your interviewer, it's about how you are able to describe about yourself very clearly and more in precise what your achievements are. And I think the communication bit is very, very essential and critical over here. So which is where I think one thing I would clearly tell to everybody is sit back, think about what you as a person are. Just chart down few points about it before going into an interview. It's not just about telling it, it's about how do you express it. I think that's more important in a more powerful way. And second is about understanding you. One is you know what you have done, right? That's the first. Second is what can you do? It's more important because every organization today, they start off like when you go through the process, it's not just a one interview process, then you end up in a job. Yes, there are some exceptions, but pretty much you would say that if a face-to-face interview was done, a lot of them would be making you sit through a personality assessment. It's about the assessments where they see how you fit into an organization culture. It's about the values that you bring to the organization. So these are very essential elements that are, I would say it's more about your personal traits that you really are able to bring and kind of project where your strengths are. And the personality assessment tools are able to bring that. And they may even, in my recent experience, I would say that when I have done interviews and when I've done my personality assessments for the potential candidates, they even map, the HR is able to map and tell me what kind of a personality is that person versus my personality as a hiring manager, whether we both can get together well. Those are the depth of details that the HR organization are also looking at, because we don't want somebody coming in and just having conflicts with your hiring manager. So it's important that how detailed the HR personnel get into. So it's important that you have to prepare yourself for those personality assessment tests. So again, that's again an important, very, very important aspect. So what do you need to do then? It's all about preparing yourself and coaching yourself. Interview is, it's not just something simpler, right? It's a matter of about 30 minutes to 60 minutes, how you're going to make an impact. And it's all about how do you make sure that, yes, how do you convince the opposition party, who is your interviewer, to say that you are the right fit for the role. So it's very, very important that it's in a way, I would say it's kind of a sale, right? You're trying to make a sale of your capabilities that you're going to offer to the organization. So how do you make it very effective? So it comes with practice. All of us have learned. I think every person evolves. I'm sure all of you will do as well. As you go through maybe the first interview versus the second interview, you will learn. But when you get into a fresh new start, it's always good that if you could make some preparation or coach yourself, talk to your superiors, talk to your peers, talk to your friends, talk to your lecturers, ask for feedback, ask for self-assessment feedback. We call it 360-degree feedback. So ask people about how you have been, what you have done, where you need to work on, so that you take those feedback in a more positive and constructive way and make sure that how you can address those gaps so that you can present yourselves in a much better fashion. I think that's very important. So the preparation is very, very, again, critical. The last one is about practice. So we have done, you know yourself, you've understood better, now you have done some preparation, but you cannot excel until you start to practice. So what's important is there are so many tools available these days online. There are free tools available. There are so many things that the digital world is offering to all of us today. So it's important that you are able to use those tools, do a SWOT. But when you do a SWOT, strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats, but what and where you should be stressing is on your strengths and opportunities, because that's where your selling point is. So you need to really start focusing. How do you make a strong sale? By projecting your strengths and projecting, or I would say capitalizing on your opportunities. I think that's more important. So that's, I think this, I would say, is the first step to the process of your preparation. Yeah. Am I going fast? Am I going slow?
It sounds good, sir.
Great. Okay. Thank you. And I think the next step is the process, I think. So it's all about the interview process as a whole, right? It's about the communication, how it starts. So the most important aspect, I think, when you are in the process of an interview, what is important is it's not about what you say, it's about how you say. So what does that mean? It's about communication. It's about the presentability of you as a candidature for the role. It's about selecting the right words when you make a sale, right? When you make your presentation, you're making a sales pitch here. So it's about how and what you say is very critical, which is where I think it's all about bringing that in a more, I would say, powerful and holistic way. And the next important thing is about adaptability. It's not a straightforward process. When you look at the interviews, every organization is different. There is no set rules that this is how it will go. And there is no set personality, because there can be somebody, an interviewer, who can be very soft and nice. There can be interviewers who are very hard. And there can be somebody who can just keep challenging you. So the most important thing is you have to get a sense of the situation as soon as possible. You need to start adapting yourself to that environment. And you need to start looking at that person and see, okay, how am I going to develop the rapport? How am I going to keep my communication on and making it more effective as well? That is also equally important in an interview process. If you don't do that, again, it's going to have a negative effect at the end of the process. But if you're able to improvise, that's exactly what they're looking for. It's not that people want you to fail. It's about when people are pushing you, asking hard questions, is also because people want to know, are you a person who can really adapt? Are you agile enough? And are you able to make decisions faster in a pressure environment? So it's very important from that perspective. So which is why, again, I said, use of right words and phrases as you converse. Replacing what I put in there, negative habits with positive replacement. Again, what does that mean? It's about, rather than saying, I have not, can I say, I have tried, but I learned from my mistakes. It's about how you make your statements more powerful and more positive, rather than a negative statement of, I failed. No, I learned from my mistakes is a better way of putting it. I think that's what is important when you communicate. So you need to quickly think. Your human computer has to keep rephrasing depending on what your interviewer is asking. I think you need to start juggling your words in your minds and make sure you are letting out the right ones, because that really tells you how you're able to filter the different phrases to make sure you're giving a more positive, but also making an impact for the person who's looking at you. And the most important other thing, I think, as part of the process, I think a lot of them tend to deviate. I think speak naturally. I have seen people who just, when you ask them a set question, they just repeat in a very monotonous fashion. That's not what we want. Speak naturally, speak fluently. I think your body language is really vital, because it all, I think, when somebody has to make that decision in a 30 to 60-minute conversation, those hiring managers or HR professionals are looking at every single aspect of you. So your communication, if it is natural, if it is effective, great. It just ticks the boxes quickly. Your body language, it has to be, you need to have a very confident posture. You can't slouch. You can't keep bending your head down. Look into the eyes of the interviewer at all times. This what is all about, bringing your true personality. It's about the reflection of who you are. And that's what the interviewer is looking at to make that decision. Yeah. So you need to remember these things. I think when you get into an interview process, these are absolutely vital and critical because it's all about your personality there. If the personality fails, if somebody is amazingly an expert, he's super brilliant, but if he cannot present himself in the right way, that knowledge is not going anywhere. But if a person who may not have that expertise, but if that person has got the right communication skills, that is what matters because he is a person who can get it done. And that is what the organizations of today are looking for. They're not looking for experts. They're looking for people who can get the job done. Of course, you guys will then become an expert in the role. But as you start, what we are looking are all for people who can adapt, who has the right personality, and who has the right agility to move on with the organization and grow with the organization. So all of you need to remember that those are the basic, I would say, guidelines here. The next step in the process, again, the base minimum, I call it, must to do. It's about, I know when people look at the jobs, it's not that I have to go and apply for every single job. First, look at the job. Every individual is different. Everybody have your own aspirations. Absolutely everything is valuable. There is nothing called as my aspiration is better than yours. No, every individual is different. You have different goals that you want to do. So you have to value that personally first. So what is important as a start when a job is being posted, right? Look at the job, see whether the first step I said, knowing yourself, understanding yourself. Do I fit the needs of the role? Do you think you have the required expertise or do you think you have the, I would say probably the drive and energy that you would be able to mold into that role fast enough? So do your analysis, understand what the job is, what the demands of the job is in terms of actual work. I think that's the first step you need to do and decide whether this is something that will interest you as well from your aspirations and goals. If not, don't waste your time because it's not just about getting a job. It's about a job where you can really enjoy. It's something where you can have passion that will keep you more, I would say, engaged and help you grow, not just you personally, but also for the organization to grow. So this step is very critical to start with. And start making a match. Because those are the things that will happen during your conversation with the company, with the interviewer. What are your assets that you're bringing? Please prepare yourself with examples. Look at your work, look at your school, because you are freshers. We're not expecting you to be providing examples from an actual work environment. We understand that. It's again about, are you able to build on your experience from school, from university, from your internship, whatever you have been. Maybe you have done some social activity in your city, in your local areas. Anything is valuable at this time. It's all about, are you able to cite those examples? Are you able to bring it back and refer them in a more, I would say, powerful way? So that's again your preparation. I think that's critical. Research about the company. Many people miss that. Everybody just go ahead. ABC company is coming. Oh, great, fine. Let me also try and go and attend. No, please don't do that. The reason you need to research about the company is also again to understand what this organization is about. Every organization has got its own objective. They've got a vision, they've got a mission. And these are openly published items. You can go into their website, you can read through those and see again, is this something that interests you as well? If you can research about the company, where the organization is today, what the organization's future plans are, the digital tools, Google, Bing, whatever you do, you can get a lot of these information out. It's about, I think, when you are able to research more about the company, it's also helpful because at the end of the interview process, what's going to happen is also that the interviewer is going to, hey, have you got any questions that you want to ask? Rather than saying no questions or just keep thinking what to ask, if you have research about the company, you can certainly ask a question about the organization. Hey, what are your company's plans in the next 5 to 10 years time? I saw that these are the portfolio that you're doing. So would you be expanding in this in the next 5 years time frame? Because this is where the industry is moving towards. Connect the dots. Try to build a question. And this is where will make you interested in the role, because it will also make the interviewer feel that you have an interest in the company, you have an interest in the product, and you have an interest in the growth of the organization. So make those connects. I think that's very important. And that's why I say research about the company can make an impact when there are question and answer sessions as part of the process. It can really help you connect well with them. Another important thing is your clothing. It is important. It's about how you present yourself. It also shows about your attitude towards the interview process, because sometimes we have seen people coming in casual wear. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's about the importance that you're giving to the organization and to that interview as a process. So come well dressed. I'm not saying you need to wear a suit, you need to wear a tie. I leave that option open because things have evolved. I think people are not doing that these days. But just be in a formal, nicely pressed shirt and a clean trouser, or for the women, whatever a formal wear would be. Absolutely, that's all what people are looking for. Are you presentable? Not just from a communication standpoint, but also physically, are you able to present? Meaning, because the organizations are going to look at, hey, when you are going to be on the roll, you are going to be traveling, you are going to be meeting suppliers or customers, depending on which industry you work. Are you able to represent the brand or the brand imagery? Are you able to carry that forward? They look for it. And that's why your clothing is important. Your hair, it's a part of you. Many people, sometimes I've seen people don't comb their hair. I know, I'm not saying it's wrong, but again, it sends the wrong message to the interviewer. So have a nice cut, clean, I'm saying. That again, because it depends on the role, because if you're going into a professional environment, you need to be that way. When somebody is going into a more, I would say, creative role, somebody working in a design agency, probably I would say you can go with the long hair. Absolutely fine. So you need to, again, as I said, is adapt to the environment that you're planning to get into. So you need to present yourself. Again, don't overdo things there. The most other important thing is the interview etiquettes. Smile. I think the most important thing is smile and greet. As you meet your interviewer, say hello with a firm handshake, eye contact, keep smiling. It shows that you're interested now and you're actually keen to have the conversation to take it forward. I think that's what the start is very important. If you go with a shaky body, if you go with a little bit of, I would say, sagging shoulders or whatever, it doesn't really brings in that positive vibe for the interviewer who is going to be talking to you next. So make it I would say more comfortable environment. From your side you have to do the best. So I think then I think things will automatically start falling in place. And questions, again, as I already mentioned about that in terms of researching about the company, but that's also because when there would be questions that they will ask you, hey, do you have any questions? Do you want to know anything more? Please do ask. I'm not saying you need to keep asking because it's not you interviewing, it's about them interviewing you. Certainly, it's going to be a lot more questions from the other side, but it's also important that you equally have some questions back. No questions shows again your unpreparedness for the interview or for the role. So it's again, do your homework, come prepared, and when the time is relevant, please ask questions or when prompted. And the most important thing is, end of it is thank you. You should never forget that. And it's nothing wrong in saying thank you multiple times. Okay, it's all about you care, right? When an interview finishes, please say thank you for giving me an opportunity and your time to talk to me. It shows that how caring or maybe even how good or nice a personality you are, it matters. So that's something you can never forget in the process. And similarly, if they want to take you to the next level or next round of discussions or interviews, whatever that process is, as part of your follow-up as well, please, even if it is an email, say thank you. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to get to the next level 2 or level 3. Things may work out, things may not work out. Even after multiple levels, it may still end up being, say, sorry, we cannot offer you. Nothing wrong in again saying thank you. I think it was still a great learning process for me by going through the 3 levels of discussions. It really helped me develop as a person. Put that note back to them. I think they will feel good. And you have to take it in a more positive way. I think it's a learning, right? So don't feel rejected or dejected, I would say, at any point of time. Because interview, as I said, is a process. Some are going to be successful in step 1. Some may go through step 3, step 4 on the number of rounds. We never know. But it's all about keeping your confidence, keeping your emotions in control. I think that's more important in the interview process. And the most important, I would again say, not to forget, be honest. I think many times we have seen people trying to lie, trying to give stories about what they have not done. I'm not saying you cannot do it, but don't overdo those things because it's easy to get caught because there are reference checks companies are doing, which is why I said it's important that you be honest upfront. If you don't know, just say, I don't know, I'm sorry. That's fine. Because we are also looking for people who are going to be honest in their roles. We don't want people to be hiding things because those are the quality personality traits part of the assessment we are going to be asking. So the interviewer might actually be asking a question where you may not have an experience just to check whether you're giving the right answer or not. Because they know that early part of your career or right out of college, you may not have experienced certain things, but they may still try to prompt you only to check, are you being honest? So that's something you can never forget. And again, the other thing is be ready to share examples. Everybody makes mistakes, right? People will ask you, hey, can you give me an example of a mistake that you have done and what have you learned? Be happy to share. Again, not too many, but at least give one or two examples, because that again tells that you as individuals are able to learn from mistakes. This again is a quality the companies are looking for now, because when you're on the job, none of us, we are not going to be perfect. All of us will make mistakes. I personally have made a lot of mistakes. But it's important is you admit your mistakes and then you learn from it and you move on. And that's a quality that a lot of us are looking for. So again, when you're being honest, also share examples from what you have done and how you have learned things and how you didn't repeat it the next time. If you're able to connect it back, that's great. And one other thing I should say is you all have to be aspirational. Without aspirations, you're not going to go forward, right? All of us wants to get bigger, better, and smarter. So have a rational to it, but be aspirational. That's important. Sometimes you need to be able to build a story, right? But build it, I would say, not a long story. Try to make it short and sweet. And if you are able to make and convey the message, I think that's where it's all about. The storytelling is important. It's about communication. It's about, are you able to build quickly? Are you able to think quickly enough? I think that is a very, very important aspect. The next thing is polite. As I said, keep smiling, be polite, because there may be instances during the interview process, some of the questions may frustrate you, may irritate you. It's about being calm and having a composure. I would say calm and composed is critical. It's all about being polite there. You can't show your frustration out because you need the job that you really like. But it's all about, as I said, people will put you into those situations. It's about to see how you're reacting. So you need to be polite. It also shows that you are able to take the pressure, because in a work environment, again, you may be hearing sometimes harsh words from your peers, from your seniors, or maybe if you're on a supplier side, you may get it from your customer. So it's important that are you able to maintain your cool and being polite, because that's what is important in that time. You can't just scold back and get out of that situation. It's not going to work for you or not for the company. So they look for those qualities. And again, one other thing I think when I look for freshers is about being task oriented. You should be saying, yes, I am. I look, when I'm given a job, I will complete it. And don't mind stressing that as well to the people, right? You can be task oriented, and the early part of your career, it's all about being task oriented, because that's what again we look for initially, because we're not looking for managers right at the start. Of course, we're looking for managerial abilities in the people, but to start off in a role, it's about, if I give you a task, can I trust this guy? Will he be able to complete it? Perfect. And those are the qualities again you need to start stressing. Flexibility. Be flexible. Again, these are qualities you have to slightly bring around, and you can cite it as part of your examples when asked or when prompted in the right question. Share an example of where you have been flexible enough to adapt to the situation. Proactiveness. What did you do beyond what you do today, right? Proactively, looking forward. You went and researched about something which was not needed, maybe for your internship. You proactively did something more as part of your internship, where probably your manager in the organization didn't tell you, but you really went ahead because you thought it was important and it had a value. So you went. So bring about, I think, proactiveness. Even if somebody asks you, I'm not telling everybody will say I'm proactive. We can find out easily whether you are or not through certain questions. But it's about if you are, I think you should start focusing in that area, because it's really something, again, every organization is looking for. Problem solver. Don't shy away, because people will put you, they will say that you get into a situation where this is the problem, or can you tell me a situation where you had a problem and how did you resolve it? Not necessarily a packaging problem. It can be a problem with your friends, it can be a problem with your mom and dad, it can be with anybody. It's about, are you ready to face the problem and are you able to solve the problem? So they're looking for somebody who are able to face problems and fix it. And that's what, again, as I said, a quality that the companies are looking for. Risk taker. Again, what companies want. It's not about, I have given you a set guidelines and rules, and I say, hey, this is what you need to follow. Perfect. That's the process. But we are also looking for somebody who are willing to take risks. We call it calculated risk, or I would say timely risk, or depending on the situational needs. But are you able to do it? And that's what we need. Can you demonstrate that? How do you bring about these not to forget qualities as part of your conversation will strengthen you as an individual? That's what I would say. Because if you are a risk taker, it's not about just blindly going and taking a risk. But when there is a situation which demands, and would you go by the process, or would you go around the process by taking certain risks so that it will have an impact positively to the end result? Certainly, and that is how you should present it, right? It's about how you use the words, right? It's not that even at any cost I will go and take a risk. No, it's about how calculative I can do to ensure there is no impact to the end result. So my end goal is still fully delivered, but I was able to cut down on certain elements of the process that I'm able to take it forward or reduce my timeline, whatever that could be, to help me move ahead and save time for the business, save cost for the business, whatever that could be. So that is all the qualities. So when I say not to forget, it's all about your personal qualities that you should be able to kind of connect them back, highlight them back when those conversations happen. It's not that just go and say, hey, I'm aspirational, you know, right? No, it's about, you have to again connect it at the right time with the right question. And that's where I said initially, you need to constantly keep thinking, juggling with your mind, with the phrases and the words that you can use. And that really can happen if you start preparing yourselves. I'm going back to my first slide. It's all about your preparation, about knowing yourself, understanding yourself, practicing yourself, and making sure you can be more successful with the interview process. One other thing I just wanted to share here is, during the conversations of the interviews, most important thing is concentrate. I think one of the biggest, I would say, I have seen with candidates, one of the challenges, or probably one of the negatives I have personally come across, is the concentration. When an interviewer is asking you questions, please focus. Please be attentive to the question. Once in a while, it's fine. You can ask them, hey, can you repeat the question? That's fine. But if you end up doing it more frequently, it shows that your attentiveness is very slow. It means you will make a lot of mistakes. when you pick up a role, or you will miss a lot of things when you pick up a role. So it goes against you as a fit for the role. So it's important that that concentration, attentiveness is very critical. And you have to make sure that when you speak, again, this is all about communication, right? You can't just say, no, please don't make those sounds, because it does puts the interviewer sometimes off. You want to think? Absolutely. Keep quiet and think about it. Or you can just say, give me a second or give me 1 minute. I'll just think over and come back. That's absolutely fine. But don't start a conversation. I'm thinking, but don't tremble, because it shows that you are not able to build things quickly enough. So again, as I said, every single aspect, your body language, your communication, your articulation, everything is important. You have to be expressive, but don't overdo. So that's again important, as part of the process, again, I would say. And yeah, and again, in terms of weaknesses, please do prepare some, I should say that, because you can't say I don't have a weakness. I'm sure many people at the start, or typically people who are still interviewing in a very traditional manner, they may still ask you those standard questions. So it's always good to be prepared, and you can say where you want to work on, meaning in terms of your weaknesses, that these are my areas. It doesn't have to be huge. 1 or 2 areas you can say that these are my weaknesses, but I'm already working on it. So put it again in a positive way. I think that really can make a difference. So I think that's broadly, I think I just wanted to share, as an interviewer, what the expectations we typically have from an hiring candidate. And this can be applicable not just to a fresher, even for anybody, even with experience. I think all these matter even as you grow professionally into the career in the industry in the coming years. They may still be there. Yeah. I'm more than happy to take any questions. Ayush, Ajay, I'll leave it to you guys how you want to manage that, but I'm available to answer any questions. Full in what you say. I think putting it in a positive way, I would say that you could say more about becoming a manager or having more added responsibility within the business. And you could say that I may even look at it depending on the business evolvement, right? Because every organization today is looking for growth. So you can say that I would like to value and develop my career path with the organization growth, and diversifying yourself into more additional responsibilities, be it within the packaging space or be it within the procurement space or supply chain. You guys can decide. Yeah. So that could be one way of putting it. But again, my initial recommendation is understand first how your peers or your seniors have done, what kind of roles exist. Again, researching about the company is again important. How does the roles in that particular organization happens? What is the hierarchy in those companies? And then maybe you can use that as a reference. You can say that maybe if the role is for an engineer, you can say that maybe in 5 years I want to be a principal engineer, or you can say I want to become a manager, if those kinds of roles exist in those organizations. So make it also relevant to that organization, or make it in general. Don't give a title that may not exist in that organization. Then that shows your unpreparedness. So make it either relevant to that organization through your checks, or tell in general that I want to be adding responsibility in certain areas. So that makes it, I would say, more powerful and more convincing. And in terms of your second question around the salary expectations, so there are 2 ways to it, right? All of you are in the, I think it's just fresh out of college now. So you're going to get into the career. Maybe some of you might have had some experience in the past. But typically, if you're looking at the broader strength of all of you, most of you are fresh out of the IIP and you're getting into the industry. So the way I would suggest, the way I personally have done initially is I would say I'm happy because it's about the opportunity. Nobody's going to ask you to come and work for free. So nothing to worry about it. So the best way to put it is I'm happy to sign upon as per industry norms that you offer and or whatever benefits you offer. That could be an easy start because every company has a budget. Because if, for example, let's say that if an organization has a budget or depending on their grading system, might have a role that offers 10 lakhs to start with. But if you go and say, I want to have my expectation is 5, why do you want to pull yourself down by telling that? Because then the organization will, there are organizations which will think, hey, actually, I'm getting a good candidate for 5. So maybe I will actually start him at a lower grade, but I'll still get the same job done. Don't give that room of opportunity for any of those employers. So I would always suggest that leave it unless if it is already advertised, maybe as part of the job description, you can say that we have seen it in the job description. This was the range given and we are happy with it. That could be just the another way of putting it. Or you can say, I'm happy to go with whatever your company's standard norms are and the benefits are, because then they automatically will fit you into the grade. Every company has got a grade and they have a band of the salary bands that is applicable for it. So then it makes it easier for them to just fit you depending on the grade. That anyway will happen automatically. Did that
Thank
help?
Yes, sir. That answered our question. So the next question that was asked was that PGDP course basically has students from diversified backgrounds. So one common question comes to us would be that instead of choosing packaging, why didn't you go ahead with the same field that you have done graduation in? So what kind of how can we answer such questions?
Okay.
How should we
Yeah,
go
this
for it?
is again, I equally, I am actually, I'm, for example, for me, when I started, I was in bachelor's in instrumentation and control engineering. That's what I have done. And then from there on, I have moved into packaging, right? And you need to connect. And this is where I said, build a story, right? And this is where you need to build a story and you have to make it convincing. So it can be, for example, you can say that, hey, actually, packaging is something that I have a passion or interest in because I've read these things in packaging. And again, I thought this is something will be of interest for me, which is why I wanted to pursue a career in packaging. You could go with some references, what you have seen, or these days you could even quote sustainability because we are hearing a lot about sustainability over the last few years. We are talking about littering, we are talking about recycling. So I thought maybe that's going to be a future, and you can say that I want to make a difference to the environment. That's again personal. If you have an interest in the environment and you say that through packaging I can contribute. So it's about how convincing you are able to make a story and build it. Again, not too long, but just being to the point that the interviewer feels comfortable with your answer. I think that's the most important thing.
Thank you, sir. So the next question. Some people are technically sound, but often lag in presentation of that skill. So, what should be one's approach in framing and portraying him or herself?
So which is where the other thing I noted initially is about your strengths, right? So which are your strengths and which are where you think your opportunities are. It's about that particular assessment is critical. So if as I said, packaging is one industry, I can tell you right now, technical is only basics in my view. You can still excel. It's about getting things done. And even in packaging, it's not about studying packaging. It's just IIP is a great platform to give you an introduction to the basics, right? But it's about you as individuals, whether you are able to make the connection in the right time with the right framework. So stress on your skills where you think you can make a difference. And again, that is where your preparation comes to. So you can certainly say that these are my qualities that I have. And I think by bringing these qualities, I'm able to get the work done for you. And again, somebody doesn't have to be technical. And I have people in my teams in the past where people have been very weak in technical packaging, but they are excellent task oriented person because they know where to go to get the work done. And that is what is needed in today's world. We are not looking for packaging experts. We are looking for people who can get it done, but with the basic understanding of it. Don't go and get it done blindly. When it is being done, you should be able to come back and share the details of why and how it has been done to your managers, to your business back. If you're able to have that communication, so you basically become more of, I would say, a technical translator. That's fine. Are you able to link back to what has been done? So these are the qualities that you should start to stress. I am a task oriented. I know my technicals are weak here, but I am strong here. So to me, these are more important to get the business done because, for example, if you're going to be working for an user industry, meaning a FMCG company or healthcare, medical, pharma, it's about when you start off, it's about whether you have the right qualities. And that's what I said. Even if I don't know, you can say, I will reach out to my peers because I know I'll be learning in my job. On the job learning is what is important. So put it in a positive way. If they try to point out, telling, hey, I don't think you're strong in this area, but you can say, hey, I'm strong in this area, but I know that this is my weakness, but I think given the opportunity, I should be able to do a lot more. My on-the-job learning is going to be faster because I'm being exposed to that environment 24/7. So with that exposure, automatically your learnings are going to be a lot more faster than what you learn in a theoretical, I would say, classroom environment. So that's how you position yourself and present yourself.
All right, sir. That answered the question. Are you sure? Shall I proceed? It's already.
Sure. Yeah, please.
All right, sir. So we have some more questions there.
Sure, sure.
Uh, if someone has worked previously in a company for a small period of time and then they left that company, maybe for higher studies, or maybe there is some gap between your graduation and post graduation or something. So there arises a question of stability of that person in that company in which she is trying to get recruited. So how one should who has the same experience can overcome the situation during the interview?
Sorry, let me understand your question better. So you're saying if somebody has taken a break as part of their professional work because they went in for an higher study, right?
So either a break or they have worked somewhere and then left and then gone for higher studies.
Right. So how does it matter? Because see, if you have worked and if you have went for an higher study and then you're getting back into work, you still have continuity there. Okay. I have, that's me personally, I have that because I started with Unilever. After working for 2.5 years, I personally took a break. I went for my postgrad in New Zealand for a year. I finished, I went back into work again. It's about whether you have a continuity as part of your professional as well as educational life. Absolutely. I think it's about, again, the convincing story. When people used to ask me, you were working, why do you want to study more? It's about the convincing story that you build there. That's important. The examples that you cite or the kind of reasons that you give has to be convincing enough. Maybe you could say that you want to enhance your skills. You want to enhance certain aspects of your professional career, which you thought is possible only by going into an university or taking a education route. Again, it's about the skill enhancement process, which everybody understands in the industry today. MBAs are doing it, right? People working, go back after working for 5 years, go back, do their MBAs, get back into work. People doing executive MBA with ISB in India, come back again to work. It's common. The challenge comes when somebody is quit a job, been without a job for some time, and then trying to get back into the professional environment again. That is when the challenge comes. But again, you can still convince. It's about the story again, what you bring there. Because if somebody has quit a job because of personal reasons, again, be honest with it. You have to do it because there was a health reason or because there was a family reason, which is why you have to take that break. And now everything is settled back and I want to get back into my professional environment. That's fine, fair enough. So see, people understand. Again, that's where I'm saying either you be very honest and say the truth that it is convincing enough, or try to build a story in the right framework that it is convincing enough. That's all what is needed.
All right, sir. So, what are the special key factors for an experienced professional in the interviews, apart from the points that you have mentioned in your presentation?
You mean, sorry, can you come back on your question again?
What are the special key factors for an experienced professional in interviews, apart from the points that you have covered in your presentation?
See, as I said, between an experienced professional and a fresher, I think the framework remains the same, right? It's about the examples and it's about your personality traits, which comes out stronger, right? So if somebody is coming fresh out of university, there are certain personal qualities that we expect them to be stronger in, maybe in terms of your keenness to learn, your adaptability, your flexibility, certain things. But when it comes to a professional with experience, certainly we will start looking into more of their actual expertise now and actually start questioning. So that the way the questions will start to frame, the base is the same, meaning what I shared, but getting into specifics is where the difference will happen.
All right, sir. So there's one more common question that has been asked in interviews. Why should we hire you? So what should be one's approach to tackle such kind of questions?
So that's again, it's the same thing, right? Why should somebody recruit you is again because the qualities that you bring in for the role, which is where I said right in the start, do you fit the role? That's your homework. If you have done that, I think you can put it in a more positive. You can just bring back those elements of your answers readily here and say why I am fit for the role. So you can say either the qualities, forget about your technical expertise, because from somebody who is fresh, I'm not going to be putting or I'm not going to be expecting the technical expertise to be the key selling point. Yes, if it is there, it's great. It's a plus. But what we are looking at is more on those personal qualities as an individual, whether you are a culture fit for the organization. You can say that I have seen your vision, I've seen your mission, and I've seen this is where your organization plans are. I think it pretty much is in line with my aspirations of what I want to do. So how do you connect back to that organization requirements and the organization skills is where your selling point is. So you just need to build that one or two lines connecting them back nicely and giving a reply back to that interviewer for that question. I think that's where the answer is.
All right, sir. So, sir, the last question would be, what should be our approach in a group interview or group discussion? Sorry.
Yeah. One of the biggest mistakes typically that happens in group interview is cowardice. People think, every individual in the group interview thinks that they have to answer, but please, that's not true. What the interviewer, when group discussions are being done, sorry, what the interviewer is looking for is all about leadership qualities now. Who is that one person who is able to control the crowd, right? I'm sure there will be one or two person who is going to lead the conversation, but don't lead the conversation from a personal side, right? Set a framework for your discussion. So if there are 5 people, that one person A can set up and say, hey, great, why don't we do something like this? Let me start, and then hey B, you go next. It's about giving the direction, setting the process, because it also tells that somebody is able to create a more, I would say, structured way of getting that conversation done. Even if that person A would not have a right answer or a convincing answer to that actual group discussion question or theme, while the rest of them would have had a better reply, but higher chances for the person A to go and get selected, because it's about how you're leading in a team. That's the quality they are looking for in group discussion. So that's what you guys need to focus. I'm not telling now tomorrow a group discussion happen and all 5 say I will lead. No, somebody has to. Again, there is nothing wrong if somebody is leading, has taken the lead, then the rest of the team members also should try to be quiet, right? And the way they should be making their presence felt is through their communication. So somebody taking the lead gets the advantage, but the others don't lose it when their turn comes. So it's about a balance there. So you guys need to, everyone need to work that balance out. So don't feel bad if you are not able to take the lead. If somebody has taken it, it's okay. Give them that space, because that's also a quality they're looking for. Because it shows that if you try to start raising your voice after a person has said, hey, this is what we want to do, either you have a conversation if you disagree with the process and say, oh no, we have to do the process in a different way. That's a different thing. Or just say, no, we can't do that this way. I want to start. No, that's not it is. It's about, it shows that you are impatient. It shows you are getting frustrated faster. No. So these are, I'm saying, group discussion is also about bringing out the personal qualities of the individual.
All right, sir. That was a very helpful session. Thank you so much for it. Also, for more questions, maybe we'll connect via mails later.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you,
More than
sir.
welcome. Thank you. Any other questions from anyone?
Yeah, so I think, sir, we are about to conclude this session. So I would like to officially begin for the vote of thanks. So I think the way the webinar has been conducted, and also on the postgraduate diploma in packaging interview skills required from the students. We 140 students attended the webinar today. I think your words will go to places. So, and whatever the comprehensive feedback which you have given with respect to interview skills, that is most required in today's world from PGDP students, because we see what gaps are being noticed over the years and during this crucial time of COVID-19. So a specific and consistent skills are required from the students, not only with respect to technical packaging domains and but with respect to business skills. And obviously, like you mentioned, you are not looking for packaging experts, but for go-getters who can get the work done with basic understanding of packaging. I think you have done full justice to the webinar topic, and all students must have loved your deliverables. On behalf of IAP Alumni Association, Swati Ma'am, Harinarayan Sir, General Secretary, uh, Treasurer Jayaprakash Sir, I would like to officially thank you. And also, I would like to thank my colleague Ajay and all the students who took out this valuable time and made this webinar successful. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks. I think that was wonderful. I think I felt so happy today because it's been a while I've shared something. Of course, I've been always sharing with my teams and my organization. I always do that, but somebody outside, it's always a pleasure talking to a lot of you. And I think thanks for those wonderful questions. I think very relevant. I think which is very typical as well, with which every one of you would be having in your minds. I may have answered it to some extent, I guess, but feel free because I don't want to be like providing an actual answer. So that's why I'm just trying to be a bit generic because it's about. I always feel that it's you as individuals need to build and try to come out with your own, I would say, phrases of how you present. I think that's where the power is. So which is why I was just trying to say how you can build your answers rather than giving you an actual answer. I think it's also a reason behind. So, and I wish everyone all the very best, and more than happy. Please do drop me an email if you have any questions, and I'm more than happy to reply. I think I would prefer an email more than anything else. That's easier for me to communicate as well. And just before ending, so I do have some quotes which is nice, which I've come across. I thought it's a good thing, and specifically more is the one from Muhammad Ali, which is to be a great champion, you must believe you are the best. If you are not, at least you pretend you are. I think that's something very important, I would say, because don't show your weaknesses to become more prominent than your strengths. Even if you have more weaknesses than strengths, stress on your strengths, pretend that you are more stronger there. I think that's where it's going to take you places because it's about the opportunity that you get. I think it's about breaking the ceiling. Getting the first opportunity is important, and I'm sure with opportunity everybody learns. So it's always the first hurdle. Once the first hurdle is kind of gone through and you're into your first job, I'm sure everybody will learn and you will start moving roles and moving careers and you will all grow up. But it's just the first step. So don't worry, do your best, be honest, at the same time be creative as well. So all the very best to everyone, and feel free and let me know if I can be of any help anytime. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Your mail ID will be shared with the students.